the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead.
Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Mommy Guide Inc. 2023. Indeed, this is our very first live stream for the year, and I would like to thank you all for being here, either live or on replay. Of course, we will start the year with a tech live stream with my dear friend Victor of Basic NAS. In 2022, we actually started talking about OBS. Okay, so as we said, we will try to showcase the different live streaming platforms that you can actually use, whether you're artist, crafter, or a tech person, right? But Mami Lala is not a techie person. That's why I have my dear friend Victor to help us today and in the future months ahead. So if you have anything in terms of tech that you also want to know, or you want us to actually do, then please message, put it in the message, and or in the chat, and we will consider doing that for you. All right. Of course, we have early today Enda from Ireland. Hi, Enda, and Tina One Kenobi. And so, without further ado, let's bring in my special guest for today, Victor of Basic Networks and Streaming. Hi, Victor.
Hello, hello, hello. I was gonna say good morning, but it's morning for me, not you.
Yes, good morning, Victor. He's been awake since, is it 5, Victor, or 4?
5 in the morning.
Five. Okay, because they moved back their time. So before it used to be just 1 hour, but now it's 2 hours, right? So thank you so much for, and my dear friend Mabel. Hello, sis. Thanks for dropping by, and happy birthday to Macy. Ayan. So Victor, okay, so we talked about OBS, right?
Yes.
So OBS in the past, okay, so the benefits from OBS was it's free, right? But there's a little
Yes.
bit of a learning curve, as if you miss those episodes and you actually want to test out how to, from the very basic, how to download, how to install, how to use. We had several episodes with OBS, and Victor taught us how to actually navigate OBS. So I will put in the description after this the links to those past videos that we had with Victor. But tonight we're going to talk about Ecamm Live, right? So, and Ecamm Live is what Mami Lala has been using since I started. I never really used anything other than Ecamm because I am not good at tech. Right? Yes, there you go. Tina is saying good morning. Okay, but Victor, what was your experience with Ecamm? Were you always okay with using Ecamm as a streaming platform?
Well, it's interesting because when the need arose, when I needed to learn something or use something, the first thing I found when I Googled was OBS. So I used OBS for over a year, maybe year and a half
Mm-hmm.
before I even found out about Ecamm. And as soon as I found out about Ecamm, which is Mac only, to use it, I had to buy a Mac. So I actually bought a Mac just to test Ecamm, and I'd never stopped. And it's been over a year now that I've been utilizing Ecamm, playing around with Ecamm, learning whatever I could with Ecamm. So technically, I went from a computer I built and OBS to a Mac and Ecamm, and and my built computer's still over there. I don't even use it. There's no monitor. There's no nothing. I just use my Mac Mini and Ecamm all the time now.
Okay, so again, just a disclaimer, what we're talking about is for streaming, right? Streaming platform. But Victor, of course, still uses his, PC computer for work and for other purposes. But for streaming no, sorry.
I
Okay,
the
we have
Mac.
we have
This
turned
ain't a
around.
Mac. Yeah, this ain't a Mac show. But this Mac Mini, the M1s. I'm just gonna say this: the M1 Macs are so
Mhm.
impressive that it's pretty much my 24/7 computer. It's gotten to the point that even when I go out of my room for work, I take
Mhm.
my MacBook Pro.
So
So that's
you
the
have been
laptop I take for
converted.
every. I've been converted to Mac. I'm sorry.
All right. So sorry, guys. We're not sponsored in any form or shape. Okay. It's just that again, my experience is that I have been a Mac user for so long. That's why when I just like Victor, when I was starting out, I was gonna try to do live stream. I googled and OBS, was the one that I saw. But the thing was, for the life of me, I could not understand. Plus the fact that I don't have a PC, right? All I have is, although you can use it with Mac, but still it's, there's a little steep learning curve. So I said, I can't do this. So there must be an easier one. And then I Googled, streaming for Mac, and then Ecamm showed up. And then I said, oh, this is so easy, this one. So that's how I started with Ecamm. So I never actually have experienced I've experienced using other platforms when I go in as a guest, right? So because some of times they use StreamYard or they use Restream, right? So I'm able to experience how it is. But me actually using it for live streaming, I have not yet. All right. So that's why we're just that's why it's like a very reasonable, or it's a natural flow. That's why after OBS, the next platform that we're going to be talking about is Ecamm, right? So okay, so again, what is Ecamm, Victor?
Well, Ecamm is considered broadcasting software, and there are a lot of people that use it for streaming, like Lala, but it does actually have a lot of uses. I don't actually do live as much
Mm-hmm.
as a lot of other people. I do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pre-recording. So imagine you doing an entire show by yourself and minimum editing. And what I mean by that is because you could bring in lower thirds, you could do all these like effects at the same time you're doing the recording or the live, just like Lala's doing right now with the graphics and switching cameras. You could literally just do a recording or a training video or anything like that and bring in all these different messages and texts and overlays and all these things. And then when you go to edit, it's very minimum. So it's broadcasting software that's for Mac.
Okay, so it's broadcasting software for Mac and others, right? And other extras, like you can do recording. Okay, you can do so many things with Ecamm. So, it's not only who's using Ecamm. Even my kids use this for like when they do presentations for school, especially during the pandemic, right? So what you see, basically all these effects and stuff, I know that with some platforms maybe you cannot use, right? Okay, so this is what Tina is saying. Same teens, ako din. I don't think I have really maximized the use of Ecamm. That's why I said, Victor, can we do like, really focus on Ecamm, because there's so many functions of Ecamm that I actually am not using still. Like the multi-function, like what do you want, multi-action? I have not been using that, and so many others.
Oh,
Right? But
and that's the
before, yes.
yeah,
But before we do
and
that,
that's the thing.
Victor, let's start with the basics. So maybe they
Oh
don't know
no,
the
we're gonna
basics
start.
first.
Yeah, we're gonna start
Okay.
basics, and I think this is what makes Ecamm very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is I've been playing with Ecamm now for over a year. Lala, you've probably been using it, even longer than I have, but because of the way we utilize it, which is very important. You do your crafting, you do two cameras, maybe three the most, things like that, where you probably are not like me, where at times I got seven cameras. I'm using them in different types because there's a lot of people. Perfect example. Oh, I don't have enough ports. I have three cameras right now that don't even wire to your computer because I use NDI. So there's a lot of people that probably don't even know what NDI is, how Ecamm is integrated with NDI, and how you could bring in wireless cameras into your production. So you're not
So
utilizing any
super
ports.
excited. So definitely with this Ecamm, this is gonna be a series, right? So Victor and I are gonna be doing this in the couple of months to go. Unless there is something that you guys really want to focus on, we will be doing Ecamm, so that if ever you decide to actually use Ecamm, just like me, Victor, and Tina One Kenobi, and the others in the community have actually started, you will not be at a loss. All right. So again, thank you, Victor, in advance, because Victor is going to how I wish I had Victor when I was starting. Although it was still easier than the others, but because we have Victor, you won't really even have to go through the pains of what most of us had to, because we didn't know how. Right. So let's do this, Victor.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my Ecamm.
All right.
And we're not gonna get into a lot of details right now on how I'm doing this, but I'm
Mm-mm.
just gonna let you know I'm capable of doing this because of Ecamm. So you are actually looking at my MacBook Pro. So I'm in the show with Lala on my Mac Mini, but I am presenting the MacBook Pro. But we're gonna get into that in future episodes, how to do stuff like this. So once
Exactly.
you install Ecamm, pretty much this is what you're gonna see. And the first thing people might freak out about is all these different boxes. It's okay. You don't need to worry about every single box. Focus on one box at a time. And some of us have little tricks that we like. So if you're going to be using Ecamm on a laptop, the first thing you're going to notice, it already finds your camera and displays it. So this is the camera on my MacBook Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically like if you just installed it, you just started it. This is normally what it's going to look like.
Okay. So Victor, maybe they're asking, is this an app, a program I need to download? How do I get Ecamm?
Ecamm is something that you could download. They have a free trial. I forgot how long the free trial is. Is it
14
2 weeks?
days. Yes,
14
2 weeks.
days.
Yes.
It is an application that you have to download. And when you download it to your computer, you could utilize it. So think of it like Zoom. You download Zoom. Well, Zoom you can use in a browser. Never mind.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, it's an application you download. So unlike Restream or
StreamYard.
StreamYard that are browser based
Mm-hmm.
broadcasting, this is an actual software. So you do have to download it. And once you run it for the first time, what you're going to see is similar to what you're seeing now, especially on a laptop, because since the MacBook Pros and all the MacBook Air, all of them, since they had the built-in camera, it automatically selects that camera.
Mm-hmm. So guys, what you see, Victor, in the side view, Victor, the bigger Victor, that's what you're gonna see in like your camera. I mean, in your monitor, right, Victor?
Yeah, yeah. So this is the full screen off my laptop. So if you notice on the bottom, you can still see all my pinned programs and everything. So this is what you're going to see. And if you notice, every time I move over the main screen, you get this little pop up. What that is, that's called the camera switcher. So it's showing you all the cameras I have. And if you notice, it's showing 4 cameras in here. I don't have any cameras connected, wired or anything. So these are special cameras. But just to let you know, again, I just stress the fact that people are like, well, this only has 2 ports. My MacBook Pro 13 has 2 ports. Right now, for this demonstration, I'm not even using 1 port yet. But yet, if you look on the camera switcher, it's showing I have 4 cameras.
Wow. Okay, don't worry, guys. Victor will show us how that's done in the future.
Yeah, we'll get into the details. So normally the first thing you're going to notice is when you start Ecamm, it's going to look pretty much like this. I got a habit of closing some of these tabs because if you don't want them in your way, you could close them and you could bring them back. Like, we're not live, so I don't really need to worry about the comment one. So anything you click on here would bring them in and out. So I'm just going to click on that, and now it's gone. I don't need to focus on that. Sound effects, I don't need to focus on. So you got these tabs here on the side, and you could play with this. So like this one, it has a musical note. That's your sound effect. So if you notice, they just disappeared from the side, and then it came back.
So when you click and click.
Yeah. So if I click on it again, it disappears. I click on it again, it comes back. Okay, so because we're really not going to... It's a panel. So because we're really not going to worry about some of these extra panels, just for you guys could focus on the 3, what I believe are the 3 or 4 main ones, we could just make them disappear for right now. Because for me, the most important are the scenes, which are right here to my left, the overlays on the right, and below that, you have your sound levels.
Okay.
When you go to the main screen here, you're going to notice you already see me, and that's because it's a laptop. But let's say, for example, you do not want to use your built-in camera. You never want to use your built-in camera. What I prefer to do, and a lot of other people, is we'd like to turn that off.
Yeah.
And if you go into settings, and we'll look at the settings a little bit. Right? By default, it's turned on. By default, there's a couple things that are turned on that some of us prefer not to have on. So if we go here, it's either going to be streaming or video. So we'll look at streaming first. And then here, one of the things I would recommend, depending on your show, depending on what you want to do, you have to pick. Now, some people get confused. This is going to be very important. Okay. This is going to be very important. Some people get confused with recording. They're like, how do I change the quality of the recording? I want to record better quality. When it comes to Ecamm, even though it says stream, it's also your recording quality. So if I record right now, it's going to record at 720p. It's not just streaming. So what I recommend, especially starting off, I know everybody's going to say 4K. No. 1080p. Yeah. So you're going to want 1080p. You're going to want wide 16:9. Now, we're going to talk about this probably in a future video because I know a lot of people are into shorts and vertical video. Yeah. So we're going to talk about this again because you have options here. And then standard, at least here, I believe is 30 frames per second. Then you have here high quality video. Now, I found out recently that this actually uses more bandwidth. It actually uses more of your internet because it's trying to increase the quality of the video.
Mm. So
So
what?
this is a
So
trick.
you unclick?
I don't, because I want the best quality at 1080. But this is a good thing to keep in mind, because let's say you're streaming and you're having like quality issues, or your audio and videos out of sync. One of the things I would recommend is adjusting your settings. But if you're like, you know what, I really like the 1080p and the 30, but you notice you have this checked, uncheck it and then test. I'm always about testing. Uncheck it and test, see if that improves your audio and video syncing, or any issues that you feel your videos having. Me personally, I like that one checked, and I also like using high quality audio.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not seeing
Check
the
mine.
part about the camera, so now I'm going to go to the next one, which is video. And then
Okay.
if you notice here, a lot of people don't change this. I do. I know a lot of people that do. It says here your default source mode is camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to show you what that means. Let's say I create a new scene. Okay, watch what's going to happen. I just created a new scene. You didn't see anything change
Yeah.
because it's automatically defaulting to my built-in camera.
Mm.
You can see here it says new scene.
Yes. Yes.
But now I'm going to go here and change this to blank. Now what happens when I create a new scene? It's blank. Most of us prefer this because now we have the option of, if we're going to use it through here, we have the option of turning on the camera or a screen share or a movie.
Mm-mm.
Not only that, but like myself, Lala, if I want to get rid of this, I just go here to, I want to say source, go back to blank.
Yeah.
We like to use overlays. So not to have that camera underneath. And again, I know I'm a little like all over the place. It's just the way I am. But let's say you don't do the blank and you're like, well, I want to, do an overlay of a camera. Well, look what happens. I got a camera on top of a camera. You don't want overlays on top of a main thing like that. That just looks weird.
So you
So
put
to
the
me, this is something you do want to change. You want it, my personal preference. You want this blank.
absolutely. Okay, so guys, maybe we can just remind them, Victor. When we talk of scene, okay, that means it's like what you see when you press that button. So it's like you can create different scenes, right? And then
This is
in
the
each
way.
scene, yes, it's like a
Yeah.
house, right? So the house is the scene, and the different rooms or decorations or whatever are your overlays, right? So just
See,
in
I
case
like
they don't
analogies.
understand.
I like analogies, and that one's interesting. But I think the last analogy I used with someone that I was trying to go over Ecamm with, I for some reason I went to like art. So think of your scene as your blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So even if like you're crafting, you have your board or whatever, it's, you haven't started yet. It's blank.
Mm-hmm.
What is it you're going to do? So if you think of this kind of like artwork, a blank scene, I'm going to do another one because these are easy to delete. Your blank scene is like your blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come over here to the overlay section, that's going to be how you start adding to it. That's going to be like if you're painting or you're doing craft, when you do like a cutout or something, and then you add it to the canvas,
Mm-hmm.
that to me is like the representation of the overlays.
There you go. And
And then
overlays, there
you
are many
have,
kinds, right?
yes, there's many
Yes.
kinds. So if you notice here, and I apologize that I can't make this like even bigger for you to see real good. Um, but if you notice here, you at the top left, if you hover, it says image overlay. So this is just for a picture. So if I wanted to bring a picture in and from our OBS training,
Yes, we
here
can
we
use
go.
that.
Yeah, we can still use the same pictures.
Yes.
So you could double click, and this isn't like the fastest way, but then now if you notice, here's the image, and it's got a green background for a reason. We'll get into that later. But then I have my borders, and then let's say I wanted to add a couple cameras in there. This is just an overlay. This is just a picture that I made in Canva. Now you could do it that way, or you could literally, let's say it was here
Yeah,
on your
so it means
desktop
you
or your
can
phone, you could
actually
just
use
drag it.
any image, right, Victor? Whether
You
it
could
came
use,
from
yeah,
Canva,
you could
Photoshop, whatever.
a picture from your camera. I could take a picture
Mhm.
from my camera and put it on my computer and just drop it in there. And that's the nice
Mhm.
thing about a Mac too. You could just drag and drop. So I could just do this, and now it's gone. So I just dragged it right out of the scene,
Mhm.
and now it's gone. But if you have it on your desktop, like I have here, perfect example. There's the folder OBS training. If I double click on here and then I go to the overlays, and then here it
Then
is
you can
again,
just
I could just drag it right in,
drag and drop.
drag and drop. So that is the first one on
Okay,
the
image
overlays, and then we can
overlay.
get rid of
All
it.
right.
That's an image overlay. The next one is an animated overlay. I don't even know if I have any on the computer, but we'll find out. Which is more of a like a video.
Yes. So instead of
So
just static, not moving, this
as-
one will also
yes,
show movement.
yes, and again, we could always drag and drop. And the reason I didn't see it is because I didn't have it on the desktop. But I do have a movie here on the desktop. So if I grab this and drop it here, and this is important with movies because it depending on where you drop it, it does different things. If I drop it right here, it should take the whole screen and just start playing.
Oh, I didn't know this. I don't know this.
You see that? I just dropped it and it
Automatic.
started playing.
Okay, what's another way?
Okay. Let me clear it. Okay, I think it cleared now. Another way is you grab it and you drop it into your overlays.
Ah.
Now, when you do it this way, you're going to get a pop-up.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
now it's going to ask you, do you want to add it as an animated overlay, or do you want to add it as a full screen with audio? Now, we're going to get into this in more details in future videos about, how you could do an animated overlay with audio.
Mhm.
But if I wanted it to be an overlay and it doesn't take the whole screen and I can move it around and resize it and control it, you want to do animated overlay. Now it looks smaller, but now rather than taking control, I can move it around. If I grab the right corner, which
So
my
if
eyesight's not that great.
if you put it directly onto your your scene, Victor, you can't move it. You can't resize it.
No, it takes the
Oh,
whole screen.
okay.
So you
Got
can't
it.
resize it. You can't, move it around. So let's say I wanted to play the video in this corner
Uh-huh.
and I want to do something over here. You can't do that because once you grab it and drop it actually in the scenes, it takes over the whole thing. And
All right.
because this was a video that I recorded on my phone, it's
Mhm.
in vertical format. But if you
Exactly.
notice, I can't move it. It's moving the entire
Yeah, the entire scene.
scene.
Mm-mm.
And even if I and I don't have it locked, so you can't do anything with this. It just takes the whole screen, and then you'll probably get confused when you try to add a camera because now this thing is blocking your camera, all kinds of stuff. So you can still use this. You can still do things with this, but myself and many others would prefer it to be an overlay.
Okay, got that.
So it depends. Don't just drag and drop it into the screen because it will take over the whole thing. You're better off dragging it into the overlays, and then you'll get this pop up, and then you could bring it in. You could resize it. You could move it around. You could do a lot more with it when you do it that way.
Okay,
And I'm sorry if
so
I just keep talking. My brain's
oh no,
always
it's okay. It's
everywhere.
okay. No questions. So we're doing over. Okay, so we're done with image overlay, and then the animated overlay, and then the
Right.
next one, the next icon on the overlays panel is
Screen overlay.
all right, the screen
Now,
overlay.
with the screen overlay, and again, you don't have to have multiple monitors, but it does help to have at least a second monitor when you're trying to share things, at least in my opinion, because you could put on the second monitor whatever it is you want to share and still have all your controls accessible and everything. You're not blocking your controls on Ecamm. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a browser, and let's say we just go to Apple. So here's my screen. And again, since this is my laptop, I don't have multiple screens. So if this is what I'm talking about, if you have a single screen, you see how this is blocking almost all your controls.
Mm-mm.
So to me, it's a good idea to have a second screen. But now what we're going to do is we're going to hit this here to do a new screen share. So I'm going to click on it. And if you notice, it's going to, if you have multiple things you could share, you'll be able to select it. But right now, it automatically just took my whole screen. And then I can move this around. I can resize it. I could do what I want. And then if you notice that line, that's to help you line it up. So we're going to try to center this. See if I can find that center line. We won't spend too much time if I can't get it.
Yeah, sometimes I can find
Yeah.
it, sometimes I can't.
Sometimes I'm not finding. Yeah. Yeah. And it's there, but sometimes you gotta, find that vertical one and the
That
horizontal
sweet
one.
spot.
But
Yes.
yeah, we'll digress. But then you have on all of these, you might have like this one. You have this little pencil. So I want to focus more on the browser, not my whole screen. To me, this is too much for you to look at. I want to focus on the browser. So I'm going to click on the pencil. And if you notice the very first one, it's asking what I want to share. So if I do a drop down here, I could share current application. And this is normally good when you're doing a tutorial. I could actually show the Ecamm Live overlays and the scenes and the sound levels. I just remembered that. So you could make it bigger for everyone to see. But what I want to focus on is Safari. So if I click on Safari, you notice it changed now. Now it's only focusing on the browser. Oh, there's
Again,
the vertical line.
sorry. You again, sorry. When you were in the see, I've been using Ecamm for a long time. I don't think I know this part.
And again, I didn't really plan like a training, so I might be all over the place and stuff like that. So if anyone feels I'm like going a little too far or
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
okay. I
discussing a
will.
certain thing, just let me know.
Yeah, will do.
So here we're focusing on here, and because it's an overlay, we can make it bigger, we can move it around. And I guess it's more of we like control. We like to be able to do certain things. So overlays are going to be a lot, for me personally, overlays are going to be a lot better to deal with than trying to have your screen share and your video and your camera just take over the entire scene. And now that I have this sharing in that little window, if I come over here, I can move this up and down. And it's hard to see because it's a single screen. Even moving this around will change the way it looks. But if you notice in the top portion, it's going to move around, it's going to do things. So this is a good way to share your screen and demonstrate stuff.
Yes, and I normally use this when I do like, team bahay. So I'll open up Discord, right? So that's screen share.
Yes,
So
that's the
I'll
screen
and
share.
then when we do like Wheel of Names, I also just share Safari just like what Victor has been showing. So that's a very useful overlay that I
Yes.
love in Ecamm, the screen
Yes.
share.
Now the next one, the nice big T, that is for your text overlays. So when you click on this, you're going to get these two boxes. This is where you're going to pick the kind of font you want, the size, and stuff like that. And then this has all your nice little color pencils. So right now, we could just go ahead and type something here. And then if we want to just say done, we just go add. So now you have here the text. You could resize it. You could do a couple little things here, put it in the bottom. And just to give you an idea, that's how Lala's doing my name and my channel on the bottom. It's a text. You can make it nice and pretty and fancy. Now, once it's on the screen, there's a couple things we could do here to get back into it and edit it. A lot of people just come right here and click the pencil.
Yeah, you hover over it and then the pencil will appear.
This is fine, but you could run into problems. When you start putting a lot of things on top, sometimes trying to click this pencil gets difficult because there's like other things around it.
Yeah, it gets
You could
locked
just
or something, right?
you could just go over here in the overlay section and double click. So to me, it's easier to manage or like select things when you work it off of the overlay section. So if you notice, that was kind of plain. It just says hi all. It's kind of plain. We're going to leave it white, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to where it says background. If you click on this box, it's going to add a background behind the text. And then you could pick a color. So let's say I'm going to just go with lead. Is that lead or
Victor,
lead?
sometimes I have an issue with this one. Sometimes the one that gets changed are my fonts, not the background.
Yeah.
So what is it that I'm doing wrong?
Okay, I'm going to show you right now. So let's close this. I'm going to say save. Okay. So let's say you notice I got the background. It's like a grayish color and my texts are white. Let's say I do my pencil. Right now, as far as it's concerned, it's probably going to want to change the text because that's what's on here. Or I believe you have to highlight it. So like, let's say I highlight all this. Now it's going to change the text. And now I'm going to save. Now you notice my text is blue.
Okay.
If I go in here again, if I want to change the background color, you have to click up here first, or whenever you want to actually do it. So if you click on here, you see how it just got like a white circle around it. Now it's going to change the background to whatever I want. So let's say I want the background to be white, or they call it snow. Now I click on it. And then you see how the background here changed, not the text.
So maybe if I wasn't pressing on the background.
You weren't pressing on this in order to do it.
Okay.
So now let's say I want to change the text to another color. You're going to click here. And I believe, I'm not 100%, I always do it this way. You have to highlight all the text. I could be wrong. Let's find out. Let's pick another color, orange. I'm wrong. It's going to change all the text. So you see how I just changed the text to like more of an orange color, a blue color? That's because I don't have this box like clicked into it. So let's pick a nice color that I like. I like grape. So now my text is grape. But to do the background, you have to come here and click it.
Mm-hmm.
and then you could change the color.
Exactly. Oh,
So
and then
make sure
maybe
you
one
always
thing,
highlight
Victor,
it.
they
Yeah.
they you can show them like the many ways that the text cannot, you know it can go many other ways, right? It's not just static. It can fly in right,
Oh,
left,
yes,
up, down,
yes, yes,
like
yes.
that.
There's a lot of things here. So let's go over this a little bit. So if you notice here, it got here style. On style, you have a drop down. So right now it's set for fixed position. If you go to the drop down, these are your fly-ins. So you could do a fly-in auto where it's going to be random. You want it to fly in from the left. So we're going to choose left and we're going to say save. Now there's two things that you could do here. If I change scenes, so I just went back to the first scene where it's the camera, and now we're going to go to the scene with the text. You see how it flew in? It just came in from the side.
Mm,
Another thing you could do is just from from the overlay section itself. So let's say you don't want it to fly in when you go to the scene. Right here where it's got like the little eyeball,
mm-hmm.
you just click on that and it goes away.
Oh, yeah.
So just to give you an idea, why would you want something like this? Well, when you're building a scene, chances are you're going to have a camera and everything. So I'm just going to bring in this camera real quick, and we'll go through these. Uh, you notice if I go from this scene to this scene to
Oh,
this
we're not
scene,
seeing it, Victor. Yeah, because there's none
that's
there.
because I'm changing the scenes, but they're showing all the same thing.
Mm.
So I could change this scene and everything looks the same because I'm not utilizing different cameras. In which, let's take a break real quick. Let's change these cameras. So this scene right now is the default scene
Mm-hmm.
with my laptop camera. And even though I prefer overlays, right now we're doing it the simple way. We're just using the camera switcher that's right here when it pops up. So if I go to the next scene, even though I'm changing scenes, you don't see a difference. But
Mm-mm.
if I change cameras, that's just how simple it is to do it if you're using it as the whole screen. And now I'm going to go to the next scene. Now you see a difference because I selected a different camera. But now we're going to select another camera, which is, I know I'm crazy. I know. Um, so now when I change scenes, and you know what? Let's do another camera. Let's go here. There's my drop down. So now when I change scenes,
Yeah, you see the
you're going to
difference.
notice it. But here's a trick. And this was more of an OBS thing. One of the things I used to do is I would make multiple scenes with the same camera, but then I would add an effect or an overlay. So it looked like I was bringing this in, but it was actually me changing scenes. So now you're going to notice they're all different cameras. And if you look at the overlay section, you notice it changes every time I change a scene. This is set up right now that every overlay is only for the scene that I'm in. There is no text here that we just created. That
Mm-mm.
is in the last one, which is my drop down one. So let's say I'm in the drop down and I wanted to bring in a call in action, which was that text. I'm like, hey everybody, how you doing? And then I could just hit that button and it just flies in. So you could also do it from just here by clicking the eye to make it go away, or clicking the eye to make it come back. I think this one looks better than the drop down right now. So you can make this come and go.
Okay. And there's the scrolling ticker. Maybe they want to do
The
that.
scrolling ticker. All right, so let's go. Let me bring it back, and then you see how it's not even on the screen. You can't click on it. How are you going to click on it and edit it? There's no pencil. That's why if you do it from the overlays, even though it's
Overlays.
not turned on, I could bring it back up.
Okay.
So let's say I wanted to make this a little bit longer. Hi all. Ha 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 ha. Okay. When you go here, You got flying from the left, flying from the right, flying from the bottom, flying from the top, and then you got the scrolling ticker. You click on that, and then you hit save. Turn it back on, and now it's the scrolling ticker. And you look at it, it's like, oh my god, that's so big, it's huge. You could adjust this. You could move it around. I think I did something. Let me see if I got the. Yeah, this thing's probably too much here. Let's do 14. No, no. It
Hi,
is
Miss
it is like
Cat.
way too big. Why is this so wide? There we go. Yeah, for some reason it's going like, oh, it's supposed to go all the way to the end. And then you can move. You can. I'm like, why can't I make
Yes.
it smaller? It's the scrolling ticker. It's supposed to go all the way.
I love
Uh,
using scrolling ticker
I
to
normally don't use it. That's why I'm like, why I can't make it smaller? It's a scrolling ticker.
I normally use that, especially if I want to highlight, let's say, the social media platforms of my guests, or if there's like a promotion that it's ongoing. So I normally put that. So scrolling ticker is actually very useful if for live streamers and Ecamm. That's so easy to actually do, as what Victor has shown us, right? So there,
Yeah,
we're done
and
with the
there's a little bit.
text. Oh yes, yes, Victor.
But
Sorry.
it's a little bit more with the scrolling ticker. So if you notice when I hover here, it might be hard to see. There's a little icon here where it's showing a turtle and a
Yes.
rabbit.
So the
If you
speed.
slide this over to the turtle, that's the speed. If you slide it over to the turtle, now your scrolling ticker is going to be very slow.
Exactly.
If you drive it over to the rabbit, now it's going to fly. So you
Yeah.
have control of these things. You have control of these things. And then one a lot of people like to use too. The next one is the timer. So this one could do a couple things too. And again, you got all these other options. You could change the fonts, you could change the size, you could do a lot of things here. We're not touching on every single thing. You got the positions again, like any other one, where you got the fly in and all that stuff. But what's nice about this is you got your time. You could change the duration of the time, but then I don't think a lot of people utilize this. It says here type. So right now it's a countdown. It says here countdown for an amount of time. But this does other things too. Countdown to a date, clock.
I
I
haven't
had never
done
even used
that.
this one. Yeah, I haven't even done that one. So if you add this,
Nice.
it's my clock. So now everyone knows how early it is
Oh,
here for
sometimes
me.
the news networks, they do that, right? In their
They
lower
could do that.
thirds.
Yes. Yes. And then if you notice here, and this is what I was trying to talk about, Lala, sometimes you run into problem. I'm trying to grab it so I can move it, but my camera switcher is blocking. So
Oh.
you can move this out of the way. So just remember, you can move things, you can control things. Now I could
And
grab this, I
Victor,
can
what's
move
the
it.
shortcut to remove that camera switcher? I forgot.
I don't know the shortcut, but I believe there's something in the settings
Oh,
that
okay.
you could turn the camera switcher off.
Yeah, sometimes I hate that camera switcher.
That it keeps coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's something in the settings where if you go here and please go through every single one of these. You go here and
Mhm.
you take your time and
And
read
the nice
a
thing
lot
about
of these.
the Ecamm, that the free trial is not limited to just some of the functions. The free
No.
trial gets you all the functions. You can do everything that everybody has or can do on a paid subscription, right?
Yeah.
So you'll
Yeah.
really
And
be
and
able to
well,
test
not only the paid subscription, but
pro.
the pro.
Yes,
And
the
it
pro.
even clearly labels next to the feature, this is a pro feature. And people need to understand that, because I know some people that might think, oh, I'm going to get just the basic, And then later on, they're like, well, I want to use it for Zoom, or I want to use it for this. And then they find out, and I'm not saying it is, because I went straight pro. Let's say virtual camera might be a pro feature. Well, now you can't use Ecamm inside of Zoom with the virtual camera because you got the basic. So be very careful when you're doing your trial that you actually pay attention to what it's saying is a pro feature. So I'm thinking it's in one of these real quick. So if you go through here and you look,
Okay,
you might
I'm
see
gonna do
one
that.
that'll say, yeah, that'll disappear. But now it's just a clock. So now everybody knows what time it is for Victor.
So early.
Now you know why I just need coffee.
Yeah, the big one. Oh, it's ear today.
And then let's say again I double click on it. Let's say I don't want it to be the clock. What was the other one? Stopwatch. So let's say you're doing a timer. No, this one's
Countdown.
going to go up. Let's say you're doing a more of a stopwatch thing. And this is a perfect example of why you want to like hide it. So you notice it already started. So let's say
Oh,
I
you're
make it
doing a
disappear. And I'm like,
challenge. You can have that,
so
right?
let's say I'm going to do a challenge. You got 60 seconds. Go.
There you go. Perfect.
And then when the 60 seconds are up, you'll be like, all right, we're done. And then you hide it. By hiding it, it resets it. And then let's say you're going to do another challenge. All right, we're going to do this. Is it ready? Go. Then you got your stopwatch. Another thing you could do if you don't want it to go this way, like a stopwatch, which to me would be simpler, you could do just what most people do is the countdown one, the first one, countdown amount time. So right now it's defaulting to 10 minutes. You could change this, and let's say you're going to do that same, like instead of using the stopwatch, you're always going to do some kind of challenge that's going to be a minute. You could just come here and do a minute and say save. Now it's actually going to be a countdown, and then you could hide it. So let's say I'm going to say, okay, we're going to do a challenge. Everyone has 1 minute to finish this project. Ready? Go.
Wow.
And then like Lala, like you did it for the beginning of the show. You did like a 2 minute, 5 minute,
Yeah, 2
whatever,
minute.
saying the show's going to
Yeah.
start. So you could do that. Another feature that's real nice, but you have to be careful. You could go here and you see right here where it says go to
The
next scene when finished. If you click on this and then and then we're going to change this time because I'm not going to want it to wait a whole minute.
Maybe 30 seconds. 10 seconds.
All right. 10 seconds? Okay. Let's do 10 seconds. I'm going to hit save, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that scene real quick. So when this is done, it should automatically go to the next scene.
Yeah. I love this feature. I use this. I use this all the time. After countdown, it goes to my solo, right?
Yes. So you could set this scene up, and then if you notice, all I did was move it. You could move these to anywhere you want. I could make it the very first scene, and the order of the scenes does matter. But at the same time, if you use something like a Stream Deck that we do, we're just pushing buttons. So we could have this mixed up a little bit. But keep in mind, the order of the scenes do matter. The order of the overlays do matter. And this is a perfect example because when I go here and I want it to go to the next scene, I have to make sure the next scene is what I actually want. It's not going to jump to the third scene, the fourth scene, the fifth scene.
You have to be the one to.
It has to be the one. Now, me personally, I try to keep everything simple, basic. So I don't freak out when I could do something like this, which I think is great. I'm just going to start over. I just throw everything in the garbage can.
Yes, there's a delete over there.
And I think you could just hit delete on your keyboard. I just like to drag everything.
Oh, I didn't
so
know
now
that. I normally
everything's
drag.
gone.
I can actually just delete on the keyboard. Okay.
I think you could just delete on the keyboard. So as long as it's highlighted, and you notice blank scene, which is going to be perfect because now I'm just going to skip the over here in the overlays, I'm going to skip the globe looking one, the widget. That's a little more advanced. I think we should save
Yes.
that for a
So for
different show.
beginners, you don't need that.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the camera overlay because we haven't even
Okay.
talked about that one yet. So we're
Yes.
gonna click on the camera overlay, and if you notice, it automatically picked what's considered the default camera. That's my FaceTime cam. Now I can move this around. I could make it larger. Let's say I don't want it to be the whole screen because I want to, put something underneath it, like the
Like the
ticker,
comments or the ticker.
comments. So here's this. And if you notice, the edges are a little rounded. This is a lot of stuff you could do here in when you click on the pencil. So you could select the camera, the shape of it. So you have your wide, you have your classic, you have your square,
Is this it?
circle.
So isn't it this awesome, right, guys?
I love this stuff.
Yes. So I
And this is
really,
one
really
of my
love.
favorites, the circle. Then you got a squircle. I have no idea what a squircle is. I'm sorry.
It's the squircle. You can have like one side, like square. And we call this board with an edge, and then the other side is rounded. So you can manipulate the sides. So that's why
Oh.
it's can be squircle. Yes, that's
And
fun.
then you'll have the tall 9 by 16. Now, I'm going to throw a little story right here. I did this and I made it like, a decent size, thinking that this was going to work for vertical video for like a short.
Mm-hmm.
No, because it's recording all this black space. So don't think
Uh,
if you get this and you're playing around, don't think just by going tall, this is going to work for vertical video. You could do vertical videos for shorts with Ecamm. So if you didn't know that, that's going to be a future video.
yes,
But
yes.
it's not
So
by doing the overlay tall.
okay, I
You
got
have
it.
to do it
Got it.
different. And then you got custom. So we're going to go back to this one. And if you notice, I'm just pulling in the edge to resize that. And then when you click on the pencil again, you're going to notice there's other things here. So you see here, corner radius, that's
Mhm.
what's doing these edges, like rounding it off. So
Yes.
if you notice, if I start moving it this way, they're more pointy. I move it
Yes.
to the right, it's giving it more of that rounded edge. So you could customize the edge. Then if you notice to the right of it, if I click on any of these quadrants, there's 4 sections here. It changes the shape. So if I want it pointy, I just click on it. And if you notice on my camera, where is it? Right there. It just went pointy, it just went curve, pointy, curve. So I could
Ah.
customize which one I want. So now I got curve
Oh,
there,
I don't
but I
even
got
need to be in the squircle. I thought I needed to be a
no,
squircle to do that. Oh,
no.
cool. See, guys, I don't even
See,
didn't even
even
know
you
that.
learned something. Yeah. And then
Exactly.
here's another one we like. So if you notice on my main camera in Lala's show, I got like a purple or bluish
Border.
border.
Yes.
That's right here, the border width. So you start moving this to the right, and it doesn't show real good because the color is black. Here's the color palette. You click on here, and then you pick the color you want. So now you notice as I go to the right, it gets thicker and thicker. As I go to the left, it gets thinner. And they're real hard to see, but there are numbers. So if you want to be very precise with like all your scenes, and I'll show you guys a
Mhm.
trick, you set it, let's say, if you could even see it, let's say like 30. Let's pretend that's 30. And then you'll know that every other camera, you're probably going to want to do the same. And then by doing this, you got a better idea of what I was talking about the pointy tips here. If you didn't see them
Mhm.
earlier, by clicking on these, I can make them rounded or pointy. And then by moving this, you make it even more round or more pointy. So there's a lot of adjustments to these things.
Exactly. And one other application for this, Victor, like sometimes I have guests who are very particular about their color, right? So they have like their icon, their logo. So they want that their borders match their logo, right? So I actually can even input CMYK, or is it the RGB? What do I input? I forgot.
Oh,
Or
there's
the
so many different
hexa,
ways.
or the
There's so
hexa
many
code.
different ways. Yeah, I normally don't even mess with that much. Um, there should be something around here.
Yeah, I think the hexa code. I think I ask for the hex code. I put it
Mhm.
in, and so that their border matches their logo. So so if you have guests like those who
I
really
like
want
that you
to,
say that. I like that you say that because to me that sounds more technical, and I'm basic and lazy. So what I would probably do is I would be like, oh, you know what? Send me a picture of your colors or your logo, because if you notice here, and I don't know if you've like noticed it,
color picker.
there's a little like eye drop thing next to this.
Color picker
So if I do that and I
and hover.
let's say I go here, it just took the color.
I don't even need to do the hex. Okay. So there. Thank you, Gigi. Okay, there. Gigi said that CMYK is for printing. So what they give is the hex. The hex or the RGB. Thanks, G. Yes, because G is a graphic artist as well as a traditional artist. So
Got
she
you.
knows this. Thanks, G.
In which I'm assuming, and again, there's only so much that I personally do. I'm assuming that would be somewhere in here where you could find that. I
Yes,
I
yes.
personally use the
You can
pencils,
actually
and that's
put
what I
in the
mean.
number
Yeah,
and
and that's what I
the
mean. A
code.
lot of people will use certain things and not use other things. So it's
Mm-hmm.
good when you have like multiple people. Like right now, Lala and myself use Ecamm. We use it slightly different. So I
Mm-mm.
didn't even know about the hex thing. Especially like right now, the first thing I'm thinking of, Lala, show me how you would do it for the border. Because I just clicked on all these and I didn't see where you would put it. Now, I know people that are more advanced on basic, they could
Mhm.
actually create their whole like palette thing. So you see all these squares down here?
Oh
There's a way
wow.
you could customize this. You could actually create your whole square. That's something you just got to deal with Doc Rock in his episode. He gets a lot
Wow.
more advanced. But there's a lot you could do with the color palette. We're not even
Yeah.
scratching the surface
Exactly. So
with
Ecamm
text
is
in the
such a
color palette.
powerful platform, right? So are we done with the overlays? Basic overlays, so camera, and the last one is just
The basic
additional.
things with the overlays. This last one here is just if you want to group things. Now
Okay.
there's a good reason sometimes to group things. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit on this, we're going to create this group, and we're just going to call it start.
Mm.
Now, Lala, I don't know exactly how you have yours set up. Some
Oh, you don't want
people,
to see it.
some people, yeah, some people could make a scene for every little thing. But let's say I want to do almost my whole show as one scene. Then you create everything here. So let's say, for example, I'm going to take my camera and I'm going to drag it into that folder. So now the folder that says start is showing my face cam.
Hmm.
And we're going to get into a lot of this stuff in more details, especially if you guys were interested in any of this and you let Lala know. I'm kind of
Yes.
just going through a lot. So we're going to go
Okay.
here and we're just going to say uh, overlay one. But now you
Wow.
notice I got this thing here saying overlay one. Let's throw in a little timer in there just for fun. So I'm going to move these things into the
The
folder. I want
folder.
everything into the folder. This is just a little trick that I do. Now, keep in mind that position matters. If you notice, the the timer is behind the camera,
Mm-hmm.
just move it up. And now it's in front of the camera. Same thing with the other text, move it up. So if the positioning doesn't look right for you, just move them around.
Okay.
Now, watch this trick. You ready? If I hit the eyeball for the folder, everything
Everything goes away.
disappears. If I hit it again, everything comes back. So just to make this a little bit simpler, I'm gonna make my
So
camera
it's not
full.
just like one overlay that gets deleted. It's the whole thing.
It controls
Everything
the
that's
whole thing.
inside. Ah, okay. So
So
I
now
see, I see.
I'm making that bigger, right? So now watch this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in another camera and I'm gonna put it and I'm gonna take up the whole screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'm gonna bring it underneath. Oops, it fell in there. I hate when that happens. Sometimes that happens. So what you might have to do
Minimize.
is not minimize it, just move the other one because I think I wanted this one on top. So I moved the folder
Okay.
instead.
All right.
So I'm gonna leave this camera open, okay? But I'm gonna change it. That way you see it's a different camera. I'm gonna change this camera
Okay.
to the one that's facing forward. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So now what I'm gonna do is I gotta line it up that way you can still see the countdown and everything. Okay, so now you see. So let's say I started my show like this,
Uh-huh.
but then rather than having a completely different scene, I have a button on my stream deck, or I'd set up something to where I'm just gonna make it disappear. Now it looks like I changed scenes. I didn't change scenes, it's all overlays.
Mm. All right. So this is actually probably easier if you don't have like a stream deck. It's easier to navigate rather
Yeah,
than.
because then you're controlling a lot of things here. Now,
Mhm.
do you lose some functionality? Yeah, because like with the countdown timer, you can't tell it to go to a new scene if it's
Oh, because
if you
it's
don't
in a
have
group.
more scenes because it's just overlay. But let's say I was starting my show, I do this.
Ah,
Um,
yeah.
you could just say once the time's up, you could say, okay, let's start the show. So, I mean, you could build this out in many different ways. And again,
Mm.
we're touching base on some little
Yes,
things
yes.
here and there. In
Correct, correct.
future videos, we could focus
Yeah.
deep dive more in like one
Exactly.
area. Or
Mhm.
if you guys are thinking like, well, perfect example. I've seen your guys broadcast a lot. Let's go ahead and let's say I'm gonna start from scratch
Mhm.
and I want to set up a basic two camera
Setup.
stream.
Mhm.
Okay. This is what I would do. The first thing I would do is start from scratch. So I'm going to have my default scene. I'm going to have my blank default scene.
Mhm.
I like to keep the default scene. So I open up a new one and let's say I call it main cam. Now, again, I like overlays. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on the camera overlay. I'm going to bring this up. And let's say I just want it to be of almost full screen, not 100% because I might want to have a name. I want to have something. I normally don't do the whole screen.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to change this camera. Oops, I hit the wrong button. I'm going to change this camera because I said main screen. I mean, main. My main to me is the one that's facing forward to me. Now, my
Mhm.
laptop's on the side and it's the built in web camera. But
Mhm.
I have my Mevo starts. We'll get into Mevos in a different. I
Mhm.
like my Mevos. So this is actually in front of me, even though my laptop's over here. So let's say this is going to be my main camera. And then I want to do another scene that's going to be my drop down. There's a few different ways you could do this, but if you notice, I like the way this looks. I like the size. I already customized my border and everything. I recommend you always create the first scene like how you want it. And instead of hitting the plus, I'm going to hit this one next to it, which means duplicate the last scene. So it's going to make a copy of the exact same thing. Now, if you notice here, it says copy, but nothing looked like it changed because it literally copied the same thing. So now I'm going to change the name to drop down. And if you notice, the border's the same, the size of the camera, everything 100% the same. Now I'm going to go to the pencil, and I'm going to go and change that camera to my drop down, which I believe is this one with the FM. Yes. So now it's my drop down camera. Now, I know this is something I didn't show you guys yet, but right now I'm just going like if I'm going to create a show. I don't like all this space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. And I know we didn't cover all these things. I mean, there's so much we could cover.
Yes,
in
yes.
Ecamm,
Okay,
I'm just
today
saying.
it's just it's really just overlays. But then, for crafters, if you wanna do, two camera setup.
Yeah. So this is more of just to show you how simple it could be to create a show. I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody. Yes, I am. I literally woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, went downstairs, made coffee, came up to this room at like about 5:20, and within 10 minutes, got my stuff ready for showing my other computer and all that stuff to do this show. So it took me 10 minutes to create a couple scenes and bring in a completely different computer. So you could literally set things up very quickly. So now I'm going to come here where it's going to be camera effects. And I'm going to bring this up here. And if you notice, it says face camera. I don't want that one. The one I want is the Mevo. So now I have the Mevo selected, and I'm going to come down a little bit where it's zoom and pan. I'm going to check this box because I want to change the way this looks. So I checked the box. That way I could zoom in, I could pan, I could modify what you see. I'm going to move the slider over, which is zooming in, but then I'm going to stop every once in a while and bring it down because I want to focus on the table, not my floor, not other things. A little bit more, and there we go. So now you focused on, that's showing my monitor. You line it up to where you want. Now it's focused more on the desk. So from here, I got two scenes now. Just me.
And your overhead.
Just the table, the overhead. But let's say I want that third one. I want the desk, but then I want to be also in it. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to say PIP. Oh, I have to highlight it. PIP, picture in picture. I already have the desk here. All I have to do is come over here to the camera, click on it, change it to the camera I want, which is this one. I like the circle. That's just me. I'm going to pick the circle, and now I can move this to wherever I want. So I'm going to try to hide this mess over there in the corner of, all my microphones and cables.
Yes. That's the
my stream
reason,
deck.
Victor, I chose Ecamm because I really wanted that circle thing, and it was so easy with Ecamm.
And here's the thing. As time progressed, and I'm not trying to say anything bad or good about other programs, as time progresses, some of these other programs are learning, let's do this, let's do that, The other thing is, let's change it to a square. I think the square is going to look a little bit better right now. Sometimes this isn't as easy. So I think I tried to do the circle in OBS. That was not that easy. Now, in the future, they might make what's called a plugin, something that you add to it. I like Ecamm because it's already here. Everything I need is here. I don't need to build more things into Ecamm. Ecamm has everything I need. Only thing I want to worry about building are my scenes and my overlays. So for a lot of people that are like, well, you know what? I could do a lot of this stuff in OBS. You probably could, but it's more technical. it's going to be harder to do than what you see me doing. I
Exactly.
basically almost built a whole show right now just talking to you guys, because
Exactly.
I could come in right now and be like, hello, everybody. We're going to start. I'm going to show you my desk. Here's my desk. Ignore the garbage over here on the side. It's not garbage. It's a lot of computer stuff. I got stuff everywhere.
All
And
right.
I'm gonna be like, you know what? Let me just hide it. And I just put my camera there. And if I want to make it
Exactly.
bigger, and I can hide more stuff off my desk. So I mean,
Victor, can we do face cam now? All right.
what do you mean face cam? Oh, you
There,
mean
there.
this?
Right. So there, guys, what Victor has shown us is just basic. Okay, he actually just showed us what the overlays panel is about, because you really need to learn how to understand how it works with the scenes. And then he demoed at the last part, if you're coming in on replay, you can go back to that, how you go eventually. It's so easy to build, like for crafters to have like different camera setup. Let's say you have your computer with your built-in cam and then a webcam, right? So for your overhead, or a phone for whatever. So it's so easy. Again, that's as what Victor said, you don't need to build the scenes in a way that like a programmer would, like for example in OBS, right? So you have to build all of those things to come up with a certain shape or movements or stuff. Here in Ecamm, it's just click. You want
Oh yeah.
circle,
Oh
click.
yeah.
You want
Yeah.
this, click. Right? So it's like it again. That's why for non-techie person, this is really something that I really would recommend, because I've actually experienced. I've been using Ecamm for almost 2 years now, and still I have not, you know, maximized the functions of a lot of, and they keep on adding functions. Like
They keep on
before,
adding functions.
yes, like before I needed to use a different program, pay a different program to be able to stream to different platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, right? Um, if I want to do that, I needed that. But now, recently, a few months back, Ecamm added that functionality. So I didn't, I saved a lot of money as well. So that's another thing I really like about Ecamm. They're always um making things better for us, right, Victor? They ask the community,
Yes.
right? What do you
Yes.
want? And that
They really work
functionality,
with us. Yeah. They
yes,
really
that's
work with the community. The community.
exactly.
That's
So
another
I'm
thing.
part of the community also. So I said, I really want
Yeah.
that, restream function. And it was like, a dream come true for, for me, right? Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And
Or,
that right now is in beta, but as soon as all the testing and everything's worked out, they're gonna make that as the
oh,
general.
yes.
Now
Sorry. Thanks for telling me.
we
Yes. That function is in beta, guys, by the way.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that is in beta. But here's the beautiful part. You could use the beta version and you could also use the regular version. They
Mm-mm.
they 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 work together. You can't use them at the same time, but you could have both. Like Lala has both. I have both. I normally stream without the beta, but the beta is very stable, as you could tell, because Lala's always using the beta.
Yes, because I want the restream function. So I
You want
said,
that
it's okay.
multi-streaming function, yeah.
I'll use beta.
Yeah. So you could use both, and they work perfectly fine. You could have both on your computer. So
Mm-mm.
there's nothing wrong with utilizing the beta.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to learn a lot of the new features that are going to be coming out. And there's also a beta group, so you could let them know, hey, I'm having a problem with this with the new beta, and they
Yes.
test things out. And to me, that's fun because I'm in tech, so I love being in the
Exactly.
beta group because
And
I
they're
I play
very
with everything.
responsive, right, Victor? It's like, oh, okay,
Yes.
there's something wrong. And immediately they'll, try to fix it. And we have Tina. Tina, remember Tina used to be OBS, right? And then because she likes challenges. But then eventually, she said, okay, enough of this challenge. So she did restream. And
Yeah.
then eventually, now she's on Ecamm.
Yeah.
So
I like
eventually,
different kinds of challenges. I don't
yes,
want to
just like
be I
Tina,
don't
yes,
want it to be a
Tina.
challenge. Yeah. I don't want it to be a challenge just to create a scene. I want it to be a challenge when someone's like, how do you bring audio from Zoom into Ecamm without having
Mm,
like all these issues, or using something like loopback, which I'm not a
mm,
fan of. I'm not a fan of paying for five different things to do one thing. There's got to be a better way. And that to me is a
mm,
challenge, trying to find a better way to produce the show I want to produce without having to pay for 20 different things. Everybody's answer right now is, oh, you need loopback, or you need this, or you need that, you need crisp, you need all these things. I never use loopback. I never use crisp. I no longer use the other multi streaming service because it's with Ecamm now, if I ever wanted to play or test with it. So
okay. So
just
you
like
mentioned
just
about,
like when you travel, there's
playing.
different.
Okay. Victor, when you mentioned
Yeah,
about playing, challenge, you wanna,
yeah,
learn
yeah.
how to make things work. Basically, that's what basic NAS, okay, channel is all about, right, Victor? So for those who are coming in, uh, like right now, maybe Enda Trading has not been able to watch our previous video. So what does basic NAS channel? What is it all about?
Well, basic NAS is basically, in short, basic networking and streaming. Because I feel that not having any understanding of networking hurts a lot of streamers, especially people starting off. Because networking, what I mean by networking is, again, basics, understanding the importance of the your internet, your upload speed, your download speed, the difference between your local connection and your wide connection. And what we mean by wide is outside. A local connection is basically inside your house, how your laptop is going to communicate to your desktop, not going to the internet. Whenever you're going out to the internet, that's called a wide area network. That's your WAN. That a lot of people don't understand. I've had people say that they can't stream, and when I asked them what their internet speed is, oh, I have seven down and not even one up. They don't understand how those numbers work for you to stream. You can't stream if you don't have a decent enough internet to stream. So I try to explain some of those things. Then I just play around with gear. So the channel is a little bit random, but it's always going to be about tech around like routers and internet and equipment that you would use for recording and streaming.
Yeah. So thank you, Victor. And we are so blessed that, Victor has agreed to actually partner up with Mommy Guide Inc. every month. So that if we have questions about tech, our community, we are not really into tech, right? But we need tech to be able to live stream, create videos. And Victor is always willing to answer our questions. And if you have questions that we aren't able to answer tonight, or in the past, please feel free to message Victor, okay, on his website. Okay, I put the link in the description of this video. Message him. And of course, follow him on YouTube. If you are not yet following him, the link is also in the description. Sorry, I don't have a moderator for tonight. I can put it up. All right. So maybe if okay, is Tina, I know Tina is supposed to be, oh, she's okay. Anyway, so if you can put G, if G is still there, okay, the link to Victor's channel, I would really appreciate that, so that others can also follow him. He also makes amazing shorts about, tech and stuff, just like Roy over there in the chat. And I'm not sure if Patrick is doing shorts already, but all of them are dear amazing friends of mine who create amazing tech videos and live streams. And Victor, hopefully soon, Victor makes mostly he prefers edited videos, like Victor. But every now and then you do go live, right?
Well, I don't want to say edited videos because I don't like to edit. Re- recorded videos,
Recorded.
and to
Yes.
me, that's what makes Ecamm also like amazing. Because right now we're doing a live show and you see Lala's changing camera angles, she's putting names up. She could have did this entire thing with just me and her talking to ourselves and just recorded it. So don't think if, like, let's say for example, your internet is horrible, I could never do YouTube. It's okay. We right now, if we wanted to, me and Lala could have did this entire show kind of between ourselves. It would not have been as nice because we don't have the chat and the reactions and the communication. But when it comes down to it, like let's say I'm going to travel and I just can't do a live, I could do the whole recording and literally just worry about uploading it. There's very little editing. The better you get at using Ecamm and all these overlays and all this stuff. The most I edit is I like to ramble and I get off topic. As you noticed through this show, I might jump around. I might be like, you know what? I jumped around to something that it just wasn't necessary for my recording. I'll just cut that chunk off, cut this chunk off. That's my editing. But I do a lot of recorded video.
Right. So, okay, the word is recorded video. All
Recorded.
right. So, actually, that's what I'm going to do as well. All right. Because I'm not actually good at editing as well. All right. There you go. Thank you, G. Okay. Gigi has actually put down the link, okay, for Victor's channel. Again, if you are not yet subscribed to his channel or following him yet, I highly suggest that you do so. Basic NAS on YouTube. Again, we just, it's like the tip of the iceberg for what Ecamm can do. Okay, if you want OBS, we also tackled OBS in 2022. We have several videos that talked about that as well. And about shorts, we also did, I think, a video about shorts. Okay, and so moving forward, we're going to be doing more deep dives into Ecamm because I myself have, there are so many functionalities of Ecamm that I have actually not been using, and so is Tina. So I thank Victor for agreeing to come in, even though it's like super early for him, right? Normally on a weekend he would be sleeping till late, but once a month he cannot do that because he will be coming in as a guest for us. There you go. Okay, so Victor, thank you so much again for coming today. And I hope to see you again next month as we continue our Ecamm journey. Unless somebody requests, a super important, topic that they want to tackle. But for now, it's Ecamm for us next month as well. All right. So thank you so much again for those coming, for being with us live, and for those coming on replay. I hope that you have learned so much, and we'll see you again next month for another collaboration with Victor of Basic NAS. Okay, with that, thank you so much. Bye. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, G. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me and Victor today, and hope to see you again this Wednesday for another crafty nights here at Mommy Guide Inc., where we will do planners. Bye. Happy weekend.